Call this meeting to order. Will those in attendance please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome all of our friends and neighbors and colleagues to this regularly scheduled July 1st, 2019 City Council meeting. As you come in the door to my right, there's a sign-in sheet and an agenda on the desk. Please sign your name and take an agenda. May I please have a roll call vote? City Clerk?
Councilperson Bell. Reiner.
Here.
Morrissey.
Here.
Sharp.
Here.
Stuchel.
Here.
And Zeiser. We have 2 absent.
I'm here as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Mayor
okay.
Stockford. We'll get you.
I know. Thanks, Katie. I did receive correspondence from Councilman Zeiser, who asked for an excused absence. So I'd entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Bill Zeiser.
So moved. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Briner to excuse Councilman Zeiser. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Zeiser is excused. We will move into approval of agenda. Does any member of council have any changes they'd like to make to the agenda? Seeing no changes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Sharp to approve the agenda. May I please have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price?
Councilperson Briner.
Yes.
Morrissey.
Yes.
Sharp.
Yes.
Stuchel.
Yes.
And Mayor Stockford.
Yes.
5 is approved.
Thank you, Katie. We'll move into public comment on agenda items only. During this time, the podium will be open. Time limit will be 5 minutes. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. Please state your name and address, and please make sure that your item of discussion has a direct tie to something present on the agenda. The podium's now open. Seeing no public comment, we will close the agenda and we'll move into the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we've got approval of bills, city claims June 13th, BPU claims June 13th, payroll June 27th. City council minutes of June 17th, EDC minutes of April 18th, planning commission meeting minutes of May 21st, library minutes of June 13th, and the May 2019 financial reports. Does anybody like to discuss anything on the consent agenda? Seeing no discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll support that. Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by myself, to approve the consent agenda. May I please have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price?
Councilperson Morrissey.
Yes.
Sharp.
Yes.
Stuchel.
Yes.
Mayor Stockford.
Yes.
And Briner.
Yes.
5-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie. We will move into communications petitions. The first item is the 911 millage from Doug Sanford. I'm not seeing it present in the package.
He's here, though.
He's here.
Okay. Thank you,
I do
Mr.
have a
Sanford.
brief handout, if I may send it around to council.
Yes, absolutely. Just make sure if you've got an extra one to give one to the clerk.
I do, for everyone in the audience, actually.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for this couple of minutes on your agenda. I appreciate my opportunity to give you an update on what's going on out in Hillsdale County 911. But I should point out your agenda is slightly, well, thank you, sir. Slightly erroneous. It says 911 millage. Hillsdale County Central Dispatch has never asked for and never had a millage. What we do have actually is a telephone surcharge. If you have a telephone, then you can call 911. That was the logic going back to 1996, at least, when they instituted Hillsdale County 911. That actually is up for a vote on August 6th. It's a renewal only. We're not asking for any more, anything different. The citizens of the county have actually, thankfully, renewed that twice already. So we'd ask you to turn out. I'm not asking people to vote for or against. They'll vote their conscience, but please remember there is something to vote about on August 6th. I don't know if there's anything else here in town. There are some things out in the county that are other questions on the ballot. But I did want to let you know of a couple of exciting things that are going on at Hillsdale County Central Dispatch. I don't know if you realized it, but starting the first of this year, if you have a need to text to 911, maybe you're choking, maybe you cannot speak, maybe you're in an upstairs bedroom and somebody's making noise downstairs and you don't want to use your telephone for fear of giving your position away, you can text 911. We do ask you, if you can, if you have to get a hold of us, please call if you can. That's so much faster, so much better. But if you can't safely make or physically make that call, you can now text to 911. We're one of 72 public safety answering points in the state of Michigan that have that capability. It is spreading, and we're thankful for that. I don't know if you've heard about it, but for the last couple of years, we've also had a program available called Smart 911. It's paid for through the graces of some money from the state legislature, some grants, that sounded bad, some grants, but it's not costing our citizens a thing. Let's not kid ourselves, even grants are paid for by us, the taxpayers, at some point. But with this Smart 911 program, you can put your own secure family information online. It's so secure I can't even tell you the next day that you signed up. But if you use one of the phone numbers you list in your family profile, if you use one of those numbers to call 911 for about a half hour, any of my dispatchers, well, the one that answers your call specifically, can see that there's someone in your house with a heart attack, a heart condition. They have a history of heart attack. Maybe they're diabetic. Maybe a lot of things. People with young children that have a tendency to wander off sometime. Instead of looking for, an anonymous little blue-eyed boy in blue jeans, if they put their children's picture in their profile, we can actually send that to the police cars, because the police cars have computers. So we're looking for the right little boy is the point. If you have other things in your home that you think we should know about, it would help the fire department, for instance, if you showed us where your gas and electric cutoffs were, things like that. It's almost endless. You can, if your house is hard to find, you can put a picture of your house, put descriptions of how to get there, things like that. But again, I can't see it unless you call 911. And you can certainly do that for a test if you set up your profile. Another sub part of that is the replacement for Code Red, which we had up until the beginning of last year. Citizens in the city, of course, and in the entire county can sign up to receive severe weather warnings, boil water advisories if the city asks us to do that, missing children alerts. We can do so much with the power of the computers that we have right now. In fact, we're using that same product for all of the fire departments. If they are sent on a fire, our system automatically sends out a text. So they not only get their pager message on their pager, they also get the address of the call and the nature of the call, structure fire, or for your MFRs, medical condition, things like that. So we've come a long ways in the technology, and in the beginning we maybe were behind a little bit because we were the next to last county in Michigan actually to get 911. But we take a back seat to nobody. We're at least up to par with everybody else. We recently installed fiber optics to our dispatch center, which this council graciously allowed us to buy the land out in the industrial park to do that. What's the big deal about that? Well, for the first 20-some years of our existence, we received our phone calls just like all of us did at our homes and businesses over this little thin copper wire. With fiber optics, so much data can be pushed so much quicker, so much more efficiently. We can get better accuracy on the cell phones, which, by the way, when you call me on a cell phone, do you know what interesting trivia I get? The dispatchers get. They don't let me answer the phones very much. They get the address of the cell tower that actually took your call, which is exciting trivia, but does us a little bit of good. We might know in what township you're located. If you have a good phone, fairly new, you stay on the phone with them for a while and a good enough signal, we'll actually get a better location. So a lot of things like that are going on at 911. If any of you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I would ask the audience for now, our number's on the brochure. Please look me up, give me a call later if you have any questions, but that's basically what I had to say tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Sanford. Bruce?
It was a fight to get you guys in the city of Hillsdale, but we got them here. Took a little bit, but I'm glad to have you guys here where you should be and being centrally located. I was on Pittsford Fire Department back in the 90s. We had fire phones.
Ring down phones, yes.
Oh yes, they just rang until you picked them up. then of course I lived right next to the fire station. I was usually the first one to get the truck. And sometimes I'd be a little anxious and I'd be run out the door and I'd forget where the address was. Bob Pease was the fire chief then. He'd, oh man. First thing, you know where you're going? That's why nowadays the technology you guys have with the text messages and the pages and everything, so more advanced. I mean, it's good to see that we've caught up with the times here.
Yes.
And I definitely support this 100%.
Very good.
Just a question, just for clarification.
Sure.
If the residents of the county happen to vote down the surcharge, where would that leave?
That would be a question for your county commissioner.
Okay.
Having paid a lot of attention to their budget, because their budget doesn't affect 911, but I go to a lot of the meetings. I know there's not a lot of extra dollars laying around. And it costs us about $1 million to pay for the people, the equipment, and all that it takes. I don't believe they have that money, but again, that would be a question for them.
Okay. Any more questions for Mr. Sanford? All right, you hear that, folks? Even if we do have a special election in Ward 1 and 2 to fill a council seat in August. So even if you're not in Ward 1 or 2, if you're in 3 or 4, there's still something on the ballot. So make sure to show up. Thank you for coming tonight, Mr. Sanford.
Thank you for the opportunity to stop by tonight.
Yes,
And
sir.
if we can answer any questions from you or anybody else, please let me know, or get a hold of your police chief and fire chief. He's on our board as well. So
Well, we've got a pretty thin meeting tonight. Is there any questions from anyone in the audience for Mr. Sanford? Thank
we're
you,
all
sir.
Smiling and nodding. Thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, we will move on to item B in communications petitions. The All-American celebration is going on again this year on July 3rd. As you can see from the sheet, the flyer, which is available on Facebook as well, and I think the newspapers had it, or I'm sure we'll have it. There's a ton of sponsors on here, so if you do business with any of these people, thank them, because this is an expensive event. It's important that we keep it going. The parade, All-American Parade, is on the 3rd before this, and I do believe Commissioner Julie Games is still looking for volunteers to work the parade, so if anybody would like to help out and volunteer, Julie Games would be the one to contact. After that, we've got Tuesdays in the Park, our concert series here, which is...
Unforgettables.
Yep. Tomorrow is the Unforgettables. And our airport manager, Ginger Moore, is a singer in that group. So they're really good. I would encourage people to go see them. The other looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows left. So it's a really cool thing. Lovely park out there, lovely time. I'd encourage people to go attend. Item D, the MSCPA notice of cancellation. The meeting, which was scheduled for, not the meeting, the dinner, the banquet dinner, which was scheduled for Wednesday, July 10th, has been canceled this year. So if any of you guys were planning on going to it, and during the city manager report, Dave's not here tonight, but I'll give you guys a brief update on what took place at the MSCPA meeting. And then there's a letter from Comcast. Any discussion on any of the items on communications, guys? Okay, we'll move on. We've got no introduction, adoption of ordinances. We'll move into unfinished business. ICE grant. Jake?
Good evening. Since we last spoke, I think most of you have probably seen the base course asphalt's been installed on Spring Street, the north end of Ripon, from the culvert to the creek up to Spring, and also the intersection of Bacon. Additionally, we have installed the concrete slab over the culvert. It goes curb to curb, and I think it's about 40 feet long longitudinally on the road, and about 200 feet of sidewalk on each side of the street. That's the major, I guess, points of the progress. We are still chipping along. I believe Brian actually is not here tonight. He is still working. So we've got some additional hours out of those crews, and they're working Saturdays also to assure us that they will get asphalt and concrete all down before school starts. So that's our goal. If they have to do a little bit of work in the terraces after that, at least we'll be fully open to traffic. Get all the folks' drives done, get everything taken care of, so.
Any questions for Jake? Councilman Sharp?
I voice what you say. I was seeing them working Friday night till it was after 7 o'clock. And then they were there a Saturday working. They're there. And the people do appreciate it. The people are seeing it. I mean, this weather, it's just unbelievable. They're out there doing their job. And I appreciate what they're doing this time. I hope everybody else will see that in this heat, it's hard to be out there. But they've set a goal and they're going to get it done. I really believe it will be done before school opens. So just keep pounding away at it.
If I may, I actually
Yeah.
missed a couple of things. They also installed about 1,400 feet of edge drain from Westwood to Bacon, which is the tile that lies underneath the curb. And they've also taken out about 24 inches of material off the entire road to put the sub-base and base back in. They're about halfway from Westwood to Bacon. I would anticipate by the end of the week that would allow that block to be prepped out for finishing of concrete and base course asphalt. So that block is just a couple of days away. Again, it's a short block from Westwood to Bacon, but a couple of days away, hopefully, from being able to be base course asphalt. We probably will not bring the pavers back in to do that little section. Mobilization fees are quite expensive to bring them back here, so we'll probably hang on until he gets the rest of Ripon ready and then base the rest of it in at that time. But again, good progress, and like Bruce said, not only hard on people, hard on equipment, the heat, but they're chipping away at it, and that's all we can ask them is to put as many hours as they can into it at this time.
The sewer lines will be when? When's that
So
next?
we got an update on that today. Obviously, we are in the, no pun intended, the heat of construction season. The two structures that we need to do that are not going to be available until July 11th. So those are going to be a bit of a limiting factor. So that'll allow him to get virtually everything else done other than that piece from Westwood to the creek where we have to do that work. So hopefully he can tie up all those loose ends and be able to just focus on that little piece there, that 440 feet.
And then you will, just one other question, sorry.
No, I'm just.
The sidewalks on north end from Westwood to Spring Street, when will they start seeing those? When the sewer lines are done, or they're gonna be doing that when?
Yeah, that'll come after that sewer line. As I mentioned before, we probably laid another 200, 250 feet on each side south of the culvert today. That takes us up to that point where the 400 feet begins
Okay.
that we still need to do. So until
I
we get
haven't had a
that,
chance to be down there today. They've been seeing me every day.
yeah, they had a big day today with the concrete contractors in town. So they got quite a bit done. I was pretty pleased. That slab's pretty large, so that's a nice piece of completion for us on top of the culvert.
Right. Well, I just wanna make sure my constituents know if you see a red moped with a guy on it, that's me.
And I will say, understand that's concrete. It doesn't just need to cool down like asphalt. It needs
Right.
to cure for a few days.
Yep.
We hope to have, so we're actually closed at the culvert, and it should be for at least 7 days until we hit a certain minimum of strength before we open that back up to traffic. So some folks are gonna have to take the Westwood Way around right now, depending on which side of the creek you live on. But understand, we don't have that closed just to annoy people. We have it closed so that concrete can hit a certain strength level before we drive on it again, or else it'll break.
Thanks, Jake. Councilman Stuchel, did you have a question? Okay. We still have an estimated completion date of around second week of August.
So I have August 15th is my date I have with him right now to have all concrete and asphalt completed. That will give us fully open to traffic. At that point, if he still needs to put grass seed on terraces, do
Sure.
a little bit of plumbing in a yard, I can live with that. The issue, I
Yeah.
think, for all of us is that we're not open to traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
And we don't have asphalt down. Those are the big issues. So that is the drop dead date that we've issued to him to hit. That July 11th is a little bit of a bummer. We were hoping to have those structures today. So that's pushed us back 10 days in that area. So we're a little worried about that. But he tells me he's going to put the hours in to do it. So at this point, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. We'll see how it goes.
Yes, sir. I think like Bruce said, before school, that's really what what everyone's concerned about. So progress
Absolutely.
looks good, though. We're happy to see it. So,
Yeah. We're gaining.
anybody have any more questions about Garden, Vine, Mead, Ripon?
Garden Vine Mead, or that's not done yet?
Base course asphalt only. So looking at over there, we have a little bit of sanitary sewer work to do. We have a few houses that we need to get in their backyard and bring around to the front. I think there's 6 of those. At this point in time, everything's functioning fine. It's not hurting anything. Obviously terraces need done still, and top course asphalt needs done over there. But we're trying to stay focused on getting everything top course asphalted and concreted. Once we get that, we'll come back and do some of that work behind those 6 houses, put grass seed down, rake out terraces, things of that nature. That won't interrupt traffic too much. I mean, they may have to have a tractor in a lane or something, but it won't stop traffic. We can put a few cones out, for little areas, so I'm hoping that won't be too big of a deal. At least we get it open for buses, open for school traffic, open for the residents, not driving in mud and potholes and things like that. So that's my goal. August 15th is that date. It allows a little bit of cushion, but that's what we've set him to. He says he can hit it, so.
Okay. Any more questions about the ice grant, guys? Want to update us on Hallett Street, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I will caution folks, please do not compare this project to the ice grant project. They are totally different apples and oranges. That being said, the contractor did a wonderful job out there. They managed their time well. They handled the project well, and it went very well. Plumbing's done, base course asphalt's done, top course asphalt's done. They are doing, all the driveways are done, concrete and asphalt are all completed. They worked today on restoring grass around drive approaches, planting grass seed, topsoil. They still need to expose the manholes. They have a little bit different process. They have a very large hole saw, and they actually base course, top course, come back with a hole saw, cut out the manhole, raise it up perfectly level to the surrounding top course asphalt, and then they put a band of concrete around that iron structure. So they handle theirs a little bit different. So they don't have that intermediate step where they have to raise the iron between base course and top course. So they still need to do that, which is why we're still closed to local traffic only. Those workers will need a full lane. I don't have to tell anybody about the hills out there. It's just not safe to have that completely open to traffic with a lane closed off. So I urge people, give them just a couple more days as through traffic only, and they should be pretty well wrapped up, other than maybe paint. The center line striping will probably come after 4th of July, but I think they will have everything done other than that prior to 4th of July.
Awesome. Any questions about Hallett Street, guys? Councilman Sharp?
Of course, I've been out there too. Driveway approaches, everything's looking good. The concrete, people have taken advantage of that. It's looking really good. Just make sure people understand when those barricades come down, it could be next week possibly.
We'll probably let them down, I would imagine, on Wednesday, open it back up to full traffic. Again, center line striping is the only thing that I think will be remaining. And they do that from a truck. They didn't even get out. They do that 5 miles an hour.
Right.
So workers don't need to get out to do that. So I would anticipate at this point being open by Wednesday. But again, it could squeeze in the net or flow, spill over to next week, but I doubt it.
And then
I
I
really doubt it.
anticipate getting phone calls about the speeders, but we'll deal with that when the time comes, because what a pleasant thing to worry about, because they're speeding on that road. Well, that can be dealt with too, because I've already had calls about people on Ripon worried about speeders, and I said, you got speeders on Ripon right now? I want to meet them, because I want to see who's brave enough to do that.
I want to see what they're driving.
Yeah, well, they're saying, the lady was, I'm just anticipating when it's done. Well, God bless your heart when it's done. We'll deal with it if we have to, but one step at a time, and Hallett really looks nice. I mean, I've been down there a few times, and everybody seems to be very happy with the progress made. I mean, it is different, Hallett, compared to these other projects. Totally different. But great job.
As long as we're talking about Hallett Street, I got a quick question for you. Maybe you're the wrong person to ask. I got a call from a resident about a house over on Hallett Street. They said and I won't say which house, but they said the smell is terrible.
Must be the
And
crick.
there's some other things that I won't mention in a council meeting, but is this something that's on the city's radar? I guess Alan would probably be the best person to ask about that, and he's not here tonight. Chief, do you know what I'm talking about? 2 calls from a resident that walks down that street every week, and they contacted you too, I think, Greg. They copied you on the email I saw, so. They didn't say anything about Hallett in the email, but I called her. She goes for walks every day, and with her husband, they walk like 5 miles around town. Yeah, she didn't mention Hallett in the email. She just she was calling about code enforcement. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't make the connection to Howard.
Yeah. Well, I called her and talked to her, and she said that there was just this house over on Hallett Street that she said's just some really crazy stuff. So,
Mayor, I only smell diesel fuel and hot asphalt when I've been out there recently, so I've.
all right.
That's a good smell.
That's all I've noticed, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is outside I don't think they're walking that far out, but thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, any more questions for Jake about Hallett Street? We will move into no old business, so we'll move into item A, new business, the MDOT contract for TDEF Category B program. You want to take this too, Jake?
Yes, sir. So I'll take a moment to remind you back, it's been a few months ago, we passed a resolution allowing us to apply for a grant, this TEDF grant. This was a 50-50 match program. It was a $250,000 from the city with a $250 match from the TEDF the state group through TEDF. We passed the resolution allowing us to apply for it. Lo and behold, we got it. So really all this is the contract that we're entering into because we were awarded the grant. We've had a couple minor changes that I'll point out. And I guess I'm going to take just a moment and talk about this is the chip seal work that we have on schedule and some of the reasoning why we've chosen these streets, primarily because we picked streets that were worth saving. Structurally, we could make a few repairs to them and get them structurally sound enough to chip seal and fog them. Chip seal and fog has no structural value to it. It primarily smooths out the surface a little bit, improves rideability a little bit, but its major purpose is to protect the asphalt, protect the binders in the asphalt, keep the UV from pounding them and causing further deterioration where that asphalt continues to fall apart. So again, I guess maybe caught wind of a few areas around town why we weren't doing chip seal on those. Well, those areas need structural value added to them. They need structure. Chip seal is not going to do it. The best analogy I could give you is when all your paint on your house is peeling, you don't just take a spray can and paint over all the peeling portions because your brand new paint's just going to come off with the old peeling stuff, right? You got to scrape that first and get down to a good base before you put new paint on. So that's my analogy. I think that makes the most sense maybe to folks. Unless anybody has any questions about any of those selections, I'll move on to that. But I will also include that Fayette Street from the tracks on, I guess it would still actually be West Fayette from the tracks going east to East Fayette all the way to Hillsdale Street is scheduled for the small urban program for construction 2020. So I think that was one of the areas I think some folks thought maybe we should chip seal, and that wouldn't make sense. That needs full reconstruct.
Okay.
It needs structure. So I just wanted to throw some of that out there. Anybody have any questions on that or any further explanation?
I just like seeing Westwood from Lewis to West Street, #1. Thank you.
Councilman Briner?
I was just going to ask about St. Joe Streets, west and east, because I saw Bernard on there, and I was like, well, and the way you kind of explained it, maybe those streets are kind of too far and disrepair and maybe need a full reconstruction.
They need some more structure added to them without just a chip seal. Trust me, those two streets, I drive a lot, right, coming from our office to town, multiple times a day, and they're hard on our trucks, hard on our plow trucks. Those are areas I surely would like to get to sooner rather than later, but as we look around for full reconstruct, we've got a lot of them. I mean, I think everybody has a something in their ward or in their neighborhood or near where they work that they drive on daily that, man, I wish they would do that one. So we'll continue to work those into the fold. Keep in mind that small urban program can only be used on major streets. So we have majors and minors, or majors and locals is what we actually term them as. So that money has to be spent on a major street. So those are things like Mannings and Wests and Fayettes. Without the map in front of me, I can't tell you all of them, but that's kind of how we determine some of those.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
There may be a business there, that will want to redo their parking lot, maybe the same time we redo the road. So if we could work with them, maybe on a timeline or something like that, then that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. It probably would benefit them more than us. What we would do on our end is probably put it out to bid, and then we would share the contractor that was awarded, we would share that out to the business owner, knowing that they basically wouldn't have to pay any mobilization fees at all. And also some quantity of scale would help them with the quantity of asphalt being used on the street. You know, you could add that on. It would probably benefit them more, the business owner, more than the city, because we would kind of lead the way and have to eat most of the mobilization, if not all of it.
Right.
But yeah, we have no issue with that whatsoever when available. So.
And that's Johnny T's. I think they would like to redo their parking lot at some point.
Mhm.
But they don't want to do it right now because of the way the road is. And
Understood.
so,
If they, you know, we do work things out where we will replace maybe a foot of the street edge. If they'll replace their parking lot, we do that in drive approaches a lot. We will protect the edge of their new drive approach or the edge of their parking lot, just because they're putting that investment in. So that's something we could work with them if they did want to do sooner, any business for that matter, or resident, we do that on.
okay.
So oftentimes we can help and protect that investment.
All right. Thank you.
Hmm?
Yeah. Any more questions for Jake?
Didn't your street get chip sealed?
It did.
How's
I
it
was going
holding
to
up?
say that. Yeah. And you know, just for the record, that street got chip sealed before I was mayor.
No, I didn't.
So-
I mean, just how is it holding up?
Oh no. I wanted to mention that ours got chip sealed, and when they do, you can't tell the difference between it and a brand new road once they chip seal it. It just looks brand new. You know, it's like Jake was saying earlier. It's a little stinky for a while, and you know, there's people out on your street doing stuff. But boy, it's beautiful. Anybody that gets it done on their street is going to notice a huge difference. And yeah, do you want to? I mean, did you have a question, Councilman Morrissey?
Just to agree that the section between the railroad tracks on West Fayette and railroad tracks, and especially West Street, that the worst area, that certainly needs a lot more than chip sealing. That really does need reconstruction. Whoever engineered that street back in the day must have thought that water will run downhill, and we just don't need any drainage on that street.
Ran into the river.
Well, that's not true. We
That
do
is not
need
true. I would
storm
agree with you
sewers on that
100%.
street. And so I'm very glad to hear that it'll be done, I guess, next year is the
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, that'll be good. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it'll be exciting. So.
Back to the original issue with the approval of the resolution to approve that agreement to enter into the contract with the state for this grant. This one actually works a little bit different. Once if you guys approve this tonight, we will shoot it back to MEDC, and they will give us authorization to proceed, and they will also send us a check for $250,000. When we're done with the project and close it out, if we haven't spent it all, we have to give them some back. So this one's a little bit nicer. We have that money up front so we don't have to front it ourselves. So that'll be a nicer part of the program. And again, that was all based on estimates. So we tried to put a project together that we thought would come up to about $500,000. We came very, very close. And the next two items are basically approving contractors and bidding. So at this point, I can stop, and then we can go to those unless anybody has any questions about the agreement.
Just for clarification, you said MEDC. This is MDOT, right?
Or MDOT.
Okay.
Yep, MDOT. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Just
Slip.
wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Yep, MDOT TEDF.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Jake?
I just hope we don't have to send any money back to the state. Let's spend it all.
We're gonna.
Every dime.
Again, I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Okay, so should we approve the attached resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk on behalf of the city of Hillsdale to enter into and execute MDOT contract number 2019-5362 and all supporting documents necessary for the street preservation
motion.
project? Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp.
Second?
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Briner. May I please have a roll call vote, city clerk?
Councilperson Sharp?
Yes.
Stuchel?
Yes.
Mayor Stockford?
Yes.
Councilperson Briner?
Yes.
And Morrissey?
Yes.
It's 5-0 approved, resolution 3384.
Awesome. What was that resolution? I'm sorry.
3384.
3384. Thank you, Katie. We will move into item B, TDEF Category B Program Contractor Recommendation. Jake?
Okay, so we have two contractors to do this, to complete this job. The first contractor is going to do asphalt patch type work on Hillsdale Street from Galloway to the North City limits, and from on Hallett Street from M99 to Reading Avenue. The way we put that together was similar to what we've done in the past on Bacon and Bernard, all those other streets where we patched that stuff up, even Manning and West, and before we chip sealed them. So we put that out to bid, and we kind of got thrown a little bit of a curveball, and you'll see that we took an alternate bid from one of the contractors, because we got our two bids at $295 and $265. We were expecting that number to be substantially lower, but they had a voluntary alternate. Instead of doing patch here, patch here, patch here, they hand wrote in an alternate to completely mill curb to curb, end to end of those sections, and lay in 2 inches of asphalt, 1.5 inches of asphalt over the whole surface. So that would be a small structural overlay to those areas. Because of that, it being about $54,000 cheaper, will it improve rideability, it'll look better, and it'll hold up and last longer than just a chip seal would anyway. So we are recommending taking the voluntary alternate at $209,000 plus $6,000 for performance bonds in those two areas. But because of that full width mill and overlay, we're gonna pull the chip seal back. We aren't gonna chip seal over that this year. So that's a deduct on the chip seal bid of $49,000. So the way this works out is the chip and fog for all of the areas in the base bid came in at $189,079. The alternate two were the additional streets, and the reason we had the alternate two in here was in case we didn't get awarded the grant. We tried to break that up into two $250,000 chunks so we could still proceed with the base bid. Because we got the grant, we went the base plus the alternate. So in the alternate two, that bid was $165,296. $49,000 will come off of that because we will not need to chip seal Hallett from 99 to Reading Avenue, and we won't need to do Hillsdale from Galloway out to the North City limits, because again, that'll get a full 1.5 inch mill in pavement, which brings the total chip seal down to $305,370. The patchwork comes in at $215,401. You combine the two together, puts us at $520,770. Again, the grant program was for $250, so it puts us over about $21,000. But BPU is going to help us out with that difference, because some of these areas are included in this bid are patchwork from water main breaks, and that total is going to be somewhere around $28,000. So the city portion is going to be the total project will come in somewhere obviously around $490. So we'll have like, $245 and $245 from the grant in the city. Somehow, roughly, that's how it should work out. Hopefully, we can spend all of it. BPU's contribution will count against us, is what I'm trying to say. So hopefully, it just comes out $250, and BPU picks up the 20. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm asking for at this point in time, is approval for $520,770, which is approval of Excel's bid to do the full width mill and asphalt paving, and approval of highway maintenance for alternate one and alternate two, minus the $49,000. I don't know if I just confused everybody. Hopefully I didn't, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to explain further.
Any questions?
I say do it. That's the thing we've been told, fix these damn streets was the words being said too, but that's mostly from the governor, but they are damn streets. They are terrible.
Mhm.
So let's make progress. I mean, the money's it's gotta be spent. I mean, if we can spend the state's money, great, but we gotta pitch in a little bit. We're getting these streets fixed. And some of these roads you're naming off, they're in desperate need of being worked on. So,
And again, this is a pretty substantial.
Yes, it is.
Length of street, it's about 6.15 miles. That'll be trimmed back by, I didn't figure out exactly what they are. The chip seal won't be the full amount, we're gonna trim that back because of Hallett and Hillsdale.
Correct.
So it'll be 5.5 miles of chip seal and, you know, the difference, 3/4 of a mile will be in, full overlay.
Just one question. Is
Councilman
there, I
Stuccio.
mean, you've probably seen this grant a lot closer than we have, so is there any issues with the grant that could come back and bite us that we're not aware of?
I don't think so. Our representative, I've actually met with him on multiple occasions. Actually, he spent about 2.5 hours in my truck.
Mhm.
He's driven the entire project. He's seen it all.
Okay.
And because of that voluntary alternate bid, I've actually been on the phone with him probably 4 times since last Thursday. The last time was at noon today. I wanted to make sure that this was not going to be a problem, the overlay instead of the patching areas and pulling back the chip seal a little bit. Want to make sure that would not be an issue. I got verification before I brought it to you guys to approve.
So
I
my
made sure that
my
was good.
concern with the BTU portion of it, that's not an issue?
That would be the only thing that they may have a little bit of a sticking point. That's an internal billing, so I'm not even
Okay.
gonna fret it.
Okay.
I mean, either case, we'd still be under budget or barely over, but we'd transfer it internally, so
Okay.
unless you guys are worried about it in some way that I'm not. I
That's
know
why I'm
David's
asking.
not. So,
I'm just saying, I'm worried about not fixing the streets.
No,
Let's
yeah,
just
no, I-
continue forward. Yeah, I understand your point too.
Yeah. I'm with you, Bruce. I'm with you.
yeah, I mean, we have the money in the street funds, the major and local street funds, even with the 20,000 over, we have that money. We'd be silly not to, in my opinion, be silly not to proceed with that and pick up that full 6+ miles.
Sure.
I personally have knowledge of one of those spots where the BPU had to fix the water.
Yep.
And there's a dip in the road right now. So everybody in that neighborhood will be very happy to see that addressed.
In
That
fact,
would-
that's one of them that's in the bid.
Yeah.
That's one of the areas that we're gonna chip seal and
Yep.
needs patch,
Yep.
so that patch is included in these numbers.
That must be on Fayette Street near the sheriff's department.
Yeah,
Yeah,
between
okay,
the Sheriff's
yep.
Department and Cherry Hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
State Street on that?
People go around.
No, State Street is not on here this time.
Isn't there a couple holes in State Street?
No, State Street could use a crack fill probably, but State Street's in pretty good shape.
A hole? No. Right there by Wolcott.
That was all just paved right there at Wolcott. There's probably there's some spots on Wolcott because we just went to the radius points on Wolcott. That's probably not the new part. That's probably actually what I would call Wolcott frontage or Wolcott Street. That's probably the issue.
Okay. Any more questions for Jake? So what do we need to do tonight then?
I'm asking you to approve the low bidder Excel Paving, Excel Paving Plus, in the amount of $215,401. That would be the first one.
Okay. Well, we don't have resolutions in the council packet. So, Excel.
We're looking at you, Katie.
No,
Resolution?
yeah.
So I know I'm kind of
Okay.
shoving all this at you quick, Mayor, but the reason why is we have timing that we've got to back up, and I'm trying desperately to complete this before school also.
All
So
right.
I'm trying to short
All right.
circuit this, and I didn't want to stretch it out another council meeting. This will
Okay.
allow us to enter into our contracts as early as next Monday with these 2 contractors to get them rolling.
Okay, what was the amount again?
$215,401. And that is Excel Paving Plus.
Okay. Okay. I'd entertain a motion to award the contract to the low bidder, Excel Paving Plus, for the amount of $215,000. $215,401.
So moved.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Sharp, seconded by Councilman Morrissey. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Stuchel,
Yes.
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
Councilperson Briner,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
and Sharp.
Yes.
5-0 approved.
Okay.
The second portion of that, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is the chip seal work, and that is through highway maintenance in the amount of $305,370.
Okay, highway maintenance. 30570.
305,370.
370.
Highway maintenance and construction.
All right, I would entertain a motion to award the chip seal contract to highway maintenance and construction in the amount of $305,370.
So moved.
Support. I figured Greg would jump on that one.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Sharp. May I please have a roll call vote?
Mayor Stockford,
Yes.
Councilperson Briner,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
and Stuchel.
Yes.
5-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we'll move into new business item C, resolution to revoke industrial facilities exemption certificate number 2014256, issued to Medalist Inc. In 2014, council approved by resolution an application for an industrial facilities exemption certificate for Medalist. The issue certificate allowed for personal property to be installed at their facility located at 200 Development Drive. If anybody doesn't know where that's at, it's out behind Paragon, kind of. Pursuant of Act 198 of 1974. Certificate was issued by the State Tax Commission with an expiration date of December 30th, 2026. As of 2018, Medalist has removed all equipment from this location in the city of Hillsdale, and I do see also that the building's been for sale for about a year, which really pisses me off because we had a 100% occupancy rate out in the industrial park for a very brief period of time. But now we've got an empty building again, but Medalist only had 2 or 3 employees, so it is what it is. The property has been 100% exempt as eligible manufacturing personal property. Therefore, the amount of tax loss that is recoverable under our clawback option is $0. Section 15.2 of Public Act 198 grants authority to the legislative body of a local unit of government to request revocation of an issued certificate. Such revocation can be requested if the purposes for which the certificate was issued are no longer being fulfilled due to a failure of the certificate holder to proceed in good faith with the operation of the facility. So we need to pass a resolution, and then it'll be forwarded to the State Tax Commission, and then they'll give us written notice of the resolution that it's been revocated, and afford them the opportunity for a hearing prior to issuing an official order. But since the building's up for sale, I can't imagine that would happen. So, any questions, guys? I'd entertain a motion to pass the attached resolution revoking the industrial facilities exemption certificate number 2014-256 from Medalist.
So moved.
I'll second it. Motion on the floor from Councilman Stuchel, seconded by myself. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson,
Sorry, go ahead, Councilman Briner.
Discussion.
Yeah.
So we put this on exemption, so they're paying less in taxes, correct?
2014, yeah, personal property taxes. they paid less in. They weren't exempt 100% from all taxes, but their personal property tax they were exempt from.
Okay, and then we're putting it back to where taxing them? I guess explain it to me. They've moved out of the building. They've been moved out of the building for several months. The building's up for sale. There's nobody in there. Nobody's even over there maintaining the grass. We can't get any money from them, any clawback money from them. Sometimes you can, basically this is just a formality. But I do believe that the state tax commission requires us to exempt this certificate. Jack, do you know if that's true?
They applied for the exemption, and at the time it appeared they qualified. They didn't follow through. They probably didn't get a whole lot of a tax break because they didn't follow through. If there's any reduction in their real property taxes as a result of that, that will come to an end as a result of this revocation of the IFT.
Okay.
But there's no clawback because there was no.
Yeah.
They didn't get any break on personal property tax. So, I don't know this for certain because I haven't looked at this, but it's possible that their real property taxes were reduced as a result of this. That's why a lot of these people, they apply for these things. They say we're gonna buy this machine for $500,000 and it's gonna employ 6 more people, and that seems to be a worthwhile trade-off. So I'm guessing that the effect on this may be to have their real property taxes go up. Then they'll get into the assessment argument because it's an empty building.
Right, well, that's what I'm just wondering, if they're trying to sell it and we're gonna revoke it and make them pay more in a property tax, it's gonna make it harder for them to sell it.
Well, I don't think we have a choice. When you don't do the things you're supposed to do on one of these IFTs, it is the responsibility of the governing body to revoke it. So I don't think this is a discretion.
All right,
This is you got to do it.
That's what I was wondering, if it was something that we had to do, or if it was something that we could continue to let him have the.
I think given their lack of, I don't want to say lack of good faith, but the lack of follow through, I think you need to do it.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. Any more discussion, guys? There's a motion on the floor from Councilman Stuchel, seconded by myself, to pass the attached resolution revoking the IFE certificate number 2014-256. May I please have a roll call vote, City Clerk?
Councilperson Briner?
No.
Morrissey?
Yes?
Sharp?
Yes.
Stuchel?
Yes.
And Mayor Stockford?
Yes.
4-1 approved. That's resolution 3385.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, we will move into miscellaneous reports. Reappointment to the EDC board is Amanda James. She's kind of the representative out there at the Latarte Center for Jackson College. If you guys have ever been out there, I'm sure you're probably aware of who she is. And this is a reappointment, so does anybody have any questions about it? It's good to have somebody from Jackson College out there. So I'd entertain a motion to reappoint Ms. Amanda James to the EDC.
So moved.
Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Stuchel, to reappoint Amanda James to Economic Development Corporation. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Amanda is reappointed. And I'm sorry, Katie, I don't think I got a resolution number from you you probably said it and I probably missed it, so.
3385 for the IFT.
Okay, thank you, 3385. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into general public comment. During this time, the same rules apply. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. 1 trip to the podium, please. State your name and address. Podium's now open. Seeing no public comment, we'll close the podium and we will move into, well, Dave's not here tonight, so I would just as a courtesy to Dave, I'll cover the MSCPA meeting very briefly, and if you guys have any questions. Last Monday, a week ago, the MSCPA held their monthly meeting or quarterly meeting. Well, Chris is here. Is it monthly or quarterly? Monthly meeting. Director MacArthur was present. I went. Chairman of BPU board Barry Hill went. Penny was there filming it. I think Dennis went as a spectator. We had the meeting was packed. The news was there. It was a good show. And basically what we were, yeah, it was a show. Basically what we were attempting to do is terminate the general manager's contract that day. It would have saved our Board of Public Utility customers $250,000 because I know we discussed this at the last meeting, but what was in his contract was that there had to be a year notice to terminate him, and then he was still eligible for a year severance after that. So the vote failed, unfortunately. Union City and Hillsdale voted against it, and Clinton, Coldwater, and Marshall voted to keep the general manager. So we've still got some contractual obligations with the MSCPA. But as far as I know, we're moving our attentions over to the, what is it, MMP?
So they're going to do a study to see what's the best fit for us when this starts aberration. So,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
So it's either MPPA or AMP.
Okay. Well, I was very proud of our city manager and Chris and everybody who attended, and thought it was nice to see all the community on the same page about an issue. And I guess if you guys have any questions about the meeting, it's available on the web. So, okay. All right. Well, we will move into council comment then. Anybody got anything interesting?
Yes, I do.
Councilman Stuchel.
The butterfly on the bears was broken off, and I'd like to thank Todd from Wells Welding. He went out and fixed it, and after looking at it, it looked like it was probably an accident because we noticed a slight air bubble in the mold itself, and so Todd did some magic and actually made it a little stronger. So whoever broke it left the butterfly there, so we think it was probably an accident, but it's back and repaired. So thank you, Todd.
Awesome.
And he didn't charge the Heritage Association for that. He free gratis, so big kudos.
Awesome. Thank you, Todd. Councilman Sharp.
It's sad to see what happened out the Balbies, like the basketball rims or backboards being smashed. It's sad that there's people around here would do something like that. I hope they will get caught if it's possible. Thank you, because there's a lot of effort and a lot of people will put effort into doing that, making the beach what it is. And then we have some vandals out there, and I hope we prosecute to the full extent of the law because they deserve it. Because that's a community gym, and to have somebody do that, they have to be dealt with. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was out there on, I think it was Wednesday night of last week. There were some kids sitting at a picnic table. When I say kids, I'm thinking probably 17, 18 years old. They're smoking pot, and I came over to them. I said, "You guys aren't old enough to smoke pot, and I don't think you can smoke here anyways." And they're on a private dock, so apparently they thought they could. And they're like, "Oh, it's only a ticket if we get caught." And I said, "Well, I don't think that's the case, because an MIP with alcohol, you'll go to jail, but whatever." I didn't bother them. So I went back to the dock, the private dock that we were at, and 5 minutes later I walked out, and they're pulling one of our no parking signs out of the ground. They got it all the way out of the ground. They're holding it over their head, taking a picture of it. I remember that. I said, "Put that back." And then I told them who I was. I'm like, "I'm going to call the police." And they boogied out after that. But I think we got an odd element out there this summer, Chief. So.
You know, it's every year, but we're
Sure.
actually working on getting that camera system fixed and making it scalable, be able to stand out to hit certain areas, and that's in the process right now.
Very good. And then the just while I got your attention, Chief, the promotion, is that public knowledge now? Do you want to say something about that real quick?
Sergeant Thad Doty's been promoted to lieutenant position. He brings a lot of expertise in a lot of areas, tactical operations, narcotics investigations. He's done a lot in his 20-some years here. He has good relationships with the other police departments, the courts, prosecutor's office, is respected in our department by everybody. So a very good pick, as far as I'm concerned, to be second in charge of the department and make all the decisions for the department and decisions that protect the city in my absence.
Officer.
And that was effective today.
Okay, effective today. And then Lieutenant Doty's been with the department for 20-something years. That
Yes.
is amazing. That makes me feel so old because I remember when he got hired. I was friends with his little brother, so.
I remember
Good-
when he gave
good
my
guy,
wife
though.
a ticket. When
Good guy.
So that was 20, almost about 18 years ago. He gave her a ticket. Boy, she was mad at him, but she was guilty. So
He's a
but
good officer.
He's a good fit. It's going
Yep.
to be a good choice. Good choice.
Yep. Any questions for the chief? Thank you, chief. Any more council comment? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Sharp to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting's adjourned.